in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I think we should go through what President Trump had to say this morning. There was a lot. And I want to hear what he had to say. The story about Joe Kent is fascinating and how he all laid it out there. And how about the quotes from his book? He was wearing panties in Iraq. Panties. He was lounging by a pool. He was flirting with girls. He was drinking his face off. At the same time, trying to con people now into, I was on 11 combat deployments. Well, I knew it right away. I told you before. That number is way too high. Now, on at least one deployment, on at least one of them, I determined, and I figured out, because he doesn't want me to know, but I figured it out, that one of those deployments, well, it could have been 2 weeks long. It could have been 2 weeks long. So at the maximum, it was 3 months long. Maximum. But probably more, 2 or 3 weeks. So on page 122, it's mentioned that Joe had secured a 2016 deployment. He knew he was going to deploy in 2016. Then weirdly, it says he comes back later, like 30 pages later. He came back in June of 2016 from his deployment, right? And then they jump back again and they say he left in the spring of 2016 for this deployment. You have to piece it together because he knows what I know. These are micro deployments. They aren't that long. Basically, they're like business trips. You know, I deployed not 11 times, not 15 times. I could be creative with my deployments. If I wanted to go letter of the law. There is no law, though. Look, I did one great big deployment to the Persian Gulf when I was in the Marine Corps. Now, if I wanted to, I can make it sound like I did. Let me think here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could actually make the case that I did 7 deployments while I was in the military. But that would be dishonest. It would be misleading. 7, because I went to the Persian Gulf for a 2-week business trip, literally. I had to go over there and sign for some gear. It was one hell of a pain in the neck, but I flew all the way over there on commercial airplanes, by the way, at great expense to the taxpayer. 11 deployments. And the vitriol, people hit me. How dare you question this man? He did 11 deployments. How do you know that? Think about it. Because he said so. And I noticed something when he says it. He says it differently each time. Sometimes he says combat. Sometimes he says, I spent most of my 20s fighting all this stuff. Now he's a little bit all over the place. 11 deployments. 3 months. I heard about these things. I heard about them when I was in. I couldn't believe when I first found out that the Air Force sometimes goes for like 60 days or 45 days, and they call it a deployment. I mean, I'm not saying that the Air Force doesn't do a good job. I am saying that the Marines have it a lot tougher. As far as these special forces guys, he said, we could always take care of our problems over drinks at the pool. In his book. He also writes very weirdly, quite frankly, about the wife. It's all a mess. It's a great big mess. Here's President Trump on Kent, and then we'll go into President Trump on about 15 other things, because everything he says is important, especially on this war stuff. Go ahead, if you don't mind.
Mr. President, do you know whether Joe Kent was leaking?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this, if you look at his truths or whatever he went on, if it's X or truth, if you look at his truths or his statements, he was all for everything. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met at Dover. He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again, and he lost. I said, you know, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him, he was pretty heartbroken. pretty. But I said, it's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. Smart. They gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me. Being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much.
Mr. President.
Think of it. He loses twice in Congress, ran not very good campaigns, should have won, but he loses twice. How do I get him? I have my people call him, because I didn't deal with him for the most part. I saw him a couple of times, but I never dealt with him at all. I had no idea his ideology was left or right, whatever it is. I can say this. He said very strongly that Iran is not a threat. Iran's been a threat for 47 years, and there's not a country in the world that doesn't agree with me on that. So I take this guy, Joe Kent, who lost twice for Congress, pretty badly and tough, and was devastated, and I know that he lost his wife. So instead of letting him live out his life, I brilliantly have my people call him and offer him a job in security, essentially, in the White House. And what does he do? He goes out and he says that Iran is not a threat to get publicity. Now, he probably signed up with CNN or maybe signed up with your division of Newsmax. I don't know. But
he was temporarily frustrated with the guy who represents that network. I don't know what the hell he did, what happened, but it was not that. Well, and by the way, any organization has multiple fiefdoms, right? There are little fiefdoms. If you watch Fox News during the day, there's one personality, there's one way of doing business, and in the morning there's another way of doing business, and then some of these guys at Fox. Remember Neil Cavuto? He could not stand. I can't remember. Well, a lot of people couldn't stand Neil Cavuto because he was very anti-Trump, right? But the show after his was not as anti-Trump. Hannity is very pro-Trump. Let's see here. John Roberts doesn't like Trump. Any organization's going to have that. So there was a little bit of that. Okay, so do we have to talk about Joe Kent anymore? I don't think so. He's pretty much old news now. Did you like it? Did you like it, Joe? Now you're going to have a podcast, huh? You and Joe Rogan going to be friends? You're going to take steroids together? I shouldn't say that about Joe Rogan. I don't mind Joe Rogan, but I'm not crazy about the podcast culture, right? A lot of them just say crazy stuff, right? Without any evidence, without any expertise. Candace Owens right now, I think, is doing tremendous damage to the country. I really wonder about her. And she throws out the wildest things. I am constrained somewhat by what I can prove and what I can cite. That doesn't mean I don't have opinions, right? And I conjecture and all kinds of things and wonder out loud and right. But it seems like she creates new realities that aren't realities, and then she reports them as if it's reality. I can't do that. I won't do that. I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't want to do that. Here's a little bit more from President Trump in the morning, I think, on the Iran situation. Okay, this is right outside of Air Force One. Man, it looks like paradise down there. He's at Palm Beach. He's in his suit and tie, coming back on a Monday morning to the White House. Actually, no, he's already in Memphis, Tennessee. He went direct to Memphis. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Iran's foreign ministry says you're not telling the truth when it comes to productive conversations to end the war.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict. And I think it'll end it very, very substantially. We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were surprisingly hit. And I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else. But we have They're very much in mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal, too.
I would love a deal. Okay. More. Who's going to run this thing? A lot more. The guy is a news-making machine. Why not? He's the president. Give me the next one, please.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal, too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Bombing our little hearts out. How about that one? Next, please.
Thank you.
What about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of that?
That'll be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be able to control the flow of oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By whom?
Maybe me. Maybe me.
Won't the United States be in
Me
control
and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look, and there'll also be a form of a very serious form of a regime change. Now, in all fairness, everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting off. There's automatically a regime change. But we're dealing with some people that I find to be very reasonable, very solid. The people within know who they are. They're very respected. And maybe one of them will be exactly what we're looking for. Look at Venezuela, how well that's working out. We are doing so well in Venezuela with oil and with the relationship between the president-elect and us. And maybe we find somebody like that in Iran.
How about that? Maybe by me. I think that's it. Do we have one more? One more. It's just optimistic. I believe him, not the Iranians. You know, they just want to be. They don't want to die. They want the dying to stop. I want the dying to stop. Go ahead.
We had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, I hope. So hopefully this will be possible, but no matter what, we'll ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. We've had very good
Okay. All right. I can deal with this. I can live with this. Can you? I can. And let's face it, it's no skin off our apple, right? I mean, the commitment, this is not like the Iran war. This is not like we invaded. This is not like, I know there are casualties, and that is terrible. I do want to hear from Francis real quick. You got something to say about that plane crash? Yeah? Is he there? Line 2.
Yes, I think I know what's going on.
Oh, God, you. You're so intense. Okay. All right. Give me a moment. All right. Lay it on me.
Okay, so I've been to these airports, and I see some of the people that work at these airports, and I think that some of them are, smoking dope, behaving like a skivos.
A what now?
They're behaving like a skivos is smoking dope.
Yeah, I know. But what is this? Skivos? Is that what?
They're making mistakes.
Yeah. Look, thank you, Francis. I'm not going to dismiss what you said. After a mishap, you know what they do? They give everybody a drug test, blood, urine, sometimes even hair. All right. More people are on more dope and drugs than probably any time in American history, including Woodstock, the 1960s. There are more people on drugs right now in this country. And I'm not talking about, pharmaceutical, whatever, prescription. I'm talking about illegal drugs or even legal drugs with the marijuana to make you feel better about yourself, to numb your problems. But guess what? It only exacerbates your problems. It only temporarily, possibly, right? And then you become numb to your problem. You don't want to be numb to your problems. And I will guarantee you this, Francis, they are looking into exactly what you just said. And I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, so ICE at the airports, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. You want to screw with us? You're going to get more of what you didn't want, Chuck Schumer. Schumer? Gosh, this guy. He lost his mind. He lost his mind. You know what happened? Protesters showed up at his house, and he got scared. He got scared, and he gave in to the woke mob. When mobs show up, don't give in. No matter what kind of mob it is, don't give in. And he did. He's traumatized by that. Never be the same again. Cut 4.
Want the chaos at our airports to come down, yes or no? If you've had enough of long lines, if you want TSA workers to get paid, then vote yes on the motion I am bringing before the Senate today.
Now, he knows that the measure is designed for Republicans to not vote for it. They want to take away all kinds of authority from ICE. They can't. It's not just about money. We want the money, but they want this and that and the other reform, so-called reform. Anytime anybody ever mentions reform, be very, very skeptical. Number one, it's the easiest thing in the world to call for, right? Well, I think we need to reform the air traffic control situation, right? Reform. I'm going to run on the reform line. We need to reform it. Problem is, when you reform things, you generally... But nobody actually reforms anything. That would mean starting from scratch and forming something new, right? They tinker at the edges, right? And they call it a reform. If you were to truly reform, you would do it over again from scratch, but you'd probably find out that you repeat, right? The same, you create the same organism that you didn't like in the first place, because there's a reason why it got to be the way it is. And reform, sometimes we don't need reform. You know what we need? Better people. People with more energy, more attention to detail, more commitment, consistency, the kind of stuff that our friend Carlos over there exudes day in and day out. I can't stop thinking about these guys, though, who were involved in that mishap. The pilots, the families, flight attendants, passengers, and also the air traffic controller and the guys in that fire truck, right? They're wondering, okay, was this me? Did I essentially just kill 2 people? I don't think anybody did. I think there was a hole in the procedures that brought this thing on. And I've seen that happen before. It happens more than you think. All right? There's some scenarios that they never even planned for. Even something like this.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, we're back, and I want to go through this mishap and all the Iran news with actually the nation's greatest expert on just about everything. I'm serious. I know he'll playfully disagree, but retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt of the Air Force has been right about everything. Welcome back, General Holt. How are you?
It's great to be with you. Wow, what a news day, huh?
Hey, you didn't even playfully dispute that you're right about everything, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because you have been. Let's see, quick.
Okay. I playfully dispute that.
There you go. Okay, good. You're confident. I love it. Real quick. What should we talk about first? I guess we should talk about the mishap, the plane mishap. There's
Sure.
the situation. We'll get to Iran. What do you make of it? What have you seen so far? What happened last night at the airport?
Never a reason for this to happen. There are very specific procedures. They absolutely were not followed here. Looks like it's going to fall to the driver of the fire truck. But we will just remain open-minded until we find out for sure. But what I can't help but ask is, with them being thinly staffed on TSA and other elements across these airport systems, is the shift work really metered out fairly for those who do show up to work? Are they overstressed? Are they overfatigued? What is going on? And if there's linkages there, well, then look no further than to the cool kids in Congress who don't believe that government workers deserve a paycheck, only they do.
How about that? Now, listen, it's very interesting because I have actually wondered about the truck driver here as well, the fire truck driver. And I noticed something, and I want you to notice it as well. Or actually, I'm going to present it to you, and you can tell us what you think. Carlos, we're going to play 16. And General Holt, I'll urge you to pay a special attention when the controller asks the fire truck, are you on ground or tower? Okay, are you on ground frequency or tower frequency? And then listen to what happens next, or doesn't happen. Cut 16.
Stand by, United. Who's the vehicle needed across the runway? Emergency vehicles calling on ground, or are you calling on tower? Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower. Truck 1 and Company. Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
All right, stop there. General, and maybe I'm reading into this. Did you know it? What did you notice there, if anything?
It looks like the tower controller cleared him, and he went across. That doesn't forgive that truck driver of using his eyeballs to make sure that there's no aircraft around, but he should not have been cleared for that. And again, we're going to learn a whole lot more about this investigation, about human factors, who worked how many shifts, all of that stuff. LaGuardia has always been one of the most stressed out airports in the system. But we see too many of these now, Greg, and it's got to stop. This has got to stop. And you have to resource the transportation system appropriately. It's not just imperiling the public, it imperils our economy.
So one little thing I noticed, and I probably am reading too much into it, but you could hear the truck operator key the microphone, and about 3.5 seconds goes by before he starts speaking into the microphone. Now, to me, that heavily suggests lack of experience, stage fright. This is a notorious thing you got to work on with beginning flight students. Now, granted, he's not a flight student, but that tells me he was a little bit in over his head.
No, that's exactly right, and that's true. And then the other part is, why wouldn't the controller have just hit the red button we call guard, which transmits on all frequencies, fire truck stop? And maybe you had one last chance at stopping this from occurring. The other thing is they're reporting that the Canadian jet was moving at 24 miles per hour when it hit the fire truck. That's a heck of a lot of damage for 24 miles per hour. So I'll be interested to see what taxiing speed they were at when they impacted.
I saw the video, and to me, it looks like he's on landing rollout. He doesn't seem to be taxiing. He's going faster than 24 miles per hour. That's what it struck me as. There's one other thing here, and if you don't mind, let's play that again from the top, okay? Just check this out.
Stand by, United. Who's the vehicle needed across the runway? Emergency vehicles calling on ground, or are you calling on tower? Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower. Truck 1 and Company. Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
Stop. Did you listen to how the controller took it? How the controller answered him. He said, Truck 1 and Company, you're cleared at Delta. Now, to me, that company actually meant that he was evaluating. He may have looked at the plane on final, thought that there was enough distance, and maybe there was. Maybe, just maybe there was. Because it seems to me that the truck potentially dawdles, doesn't go fast enough. Is that possible?
It's very possible. And then the other thing I'm certain that they know by now is, when he asked to cross at that particular location, did the truck driver identify the proper location? So because what I heard in the controller's voice was, "Ooh, let me see if this is going to work out," and he identifies the location and goes, "Okay, go ahead." Again, so many unanswered questions, but I'm going to guess it's going to get back to human factors, experience, training, fatigue, and an under-resourced airport.
Very interesting. Now, Let's let it go a little bit longer. Go ahead. Pick it up from where we were.
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please. Stop. Truck one, stop.
Yeah, 2384 is cleared in lane 8 for 41.
2384, proceed to ramp.
Proceed in.
Sorry, truck one. Stop, truck one. Stop. Stop, truck one. Stop.
Okay, and there's the miss. Stop. Then the impact happens. Now, there are two sequences in there where I hear him tell truck one to stop. The first one and then the second one. Now, the first one, there's a problem with the first one. He just told Frontier to stop, and then he switches to tell truck one to stop, but it's not clear to me that he's talking to truck one, and truck one never acknowledges that we know of. Then again, he could have done it on a frequency that we're not listening to.
That's right. That's exactly right. They had lost communications at that point with that truck, either through driver inattention or he's on the wrong freak. But again, something is not right with what's going on inside the truck. I am certain they're going to find problems in the tower.
Okay. Now, some people have seized on this, where the air traffic controller seems to be acknowledging culpability. Cut 17, please.
I did hear that. Yes.
Yeah. Let's listen to this. Cut 17.
You have access. Frontier 4195. I got the word that we're going to be closed for a little while. If you want prepared to return to the ramp, let me know.
Yeah, we got stuff in progress for that, man. That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know. I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier, and I messed up.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Truck one and company.
So you hear it right there. I messed up. Now, I'm just going to point out that is, I don't know about you, but I apologize a lot. Even if I don't do anything wrong, I'll apologize. Sure. I find myself apologizing for coming early. I find myself apologizing for being on time, coming late. You know, sure. And maybe he's a guy like that. I just doesn't, that's neither here nor there for me, or is it?
It's not an admission. It's grief. That is grief. And if this ever goes to some kind of court, that's how it's going to come across. It's grief. And it's, you see something happen before your very eyes. You're immediately going, how could I have stopped this? What could I have done? And he's going to get a chance to relive this for the next, I don't know, months he's going to get to relive this. And my heart goes out to all involved, because these controllers are under so much pressure. And again, we have to get into the resourcing and training issues, but my heart goes out to them, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants that to happen.
Actually, you hear this one controller handling just about everything, and it's almost like, is that the problem right there? I mean, the whole tape, it's the same voice in the tower handling what seems to be ground. Actually, I can't tell if he's handling ground and air. He's
handling the ground freak, and he's handling the tower freak, and that's typical these days for the midnight shift, for the graveyard shift. That's typical.
Is there any such thing as a graveyard shift at LaGuardia Airport, though? You know what I mean?
The arrival time was, I think it's after 10 o'clock at night at LaGuardia. They start winding down staff.
No, what I mean is, though, like LaGuardia Airport at night is busier than a lot of airports during the day.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's exactly right.
All right. Well, it's we're gonna have to wait and we'll see. We'll see. Hey, how about this? Give us the lay of the land with Iran. We had a pretty stark warning from President Trump, and then, hey, we're about to make a deal potentially. Let's see what happens. Where are we?
We're in really great shape. What a cool morning to wake up to find out that President Trump once again built leverage where he didn't really have any, and everybody's screaming and yelling as oil plummets $15 in 2 minutes. And then everybody who said the stock market was going to be in free fall today was awakened to an 1,100 point increase, because he's stabilizing things within the context of his plan. And what people need to start realizing is the president is in command of intelligence that others do not have. And now you got the mullahs saying, well, we never talked to him. It's like, well, that's probably right. You probably did not talk to him. But somebody did. And it's somebody that President Trump thinks is the leader of this country. So you should be very careful about that.
Well, how about that? A couple of other little things here. Mr. Kent, I want to talk to you about him, but you were in the military. You served a career in the military. He ran around calling himself deployed 11 times, and it's been picked up by his supporters. He deployed 11 times. I know that deployments vary wildly in length and exposure to danger. Could you give us an example of the shortest deployment that you ever heard of?
Oh, it could be a special assignment, could be a couple of weeks, could be 30 days. It could be any duration. If somebody cuts you deployment orders and you go and pull the right gear for that particular mission set, that is a deployment. What are the risks? What are the dangers? It's not one size fits all. Everything comes in different packages.
So I'm going through his book carefully, and I know at least one of his deployments was 3 months at maximum, because he says he left in the spring and he comes back in June. So, I mean, that could be, and I knew he was playing a game. And I think, quite frankly, I've seen others. I haven't actually seen it to this extent, but you know, what's more impressive, 3 3-month deployments or 1 year deployment? You know, people are going to think, oh, you deployed 3 times. Wow. It's a deceptive game. I find it to be, and I find it really off-putting. And I'm seeing it more and more because, quite frankly, there seems to be a competition in the military for lucrative or to benefit as much as possible from your military experience. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I do. I guess the Air Force, we're very different because, like in the Airlift Command where I served, I can tell you I've had a 90-day deployment where I was shot at a couple of times during the deployment, and I've had a 1-year deployment where the danger was much lower. And so I guess I would have to know what exactly occurred on the particular deployment. And I take your meaning well, and I understand what you're saying. But everybody's service ends up cutting down differently. And then I have seen servicemen. I'm not talking about Kent, but I have seen service members revel in things that maybe were overly embellished, and that's always sad for all of us. And it shouldn't happen that way. And so hopefully, I haven't read his book, but hopefully all of it is at least truthful. But I don't know the case.
No, he's laying around the pool in half the book. He mentions swimming pools in Iraq more than he mentions America First or MAGA, literally. Yeah. No, and I want to make sure it's not the length of the deployment that's particularly important of me. It's his marketing. I find his marketing of his service disingenuous. 11 deployments. When you say that, it is meant to impress. It is designed to impress. Sure. And when I look at the nature of some of his deployments, right? I mean, he's trying to confuse people, and that's the thing I don't like. And 11 deployments is a little bit much, and he wants people to think that it was combat and very intense. And there's something about this guy that's wrong. And what else? He ran for Congress twice and lost. I mean, this guy wants to be somebody. Fair enough?
Sure. Yeah. No, I understand. It's it's a complicated situation. I'll tell you what I did like is that when you cannot, in whatever reason for your conscience, go with what the strategy is or what the administration's doing, well, then you should resign. And I do understand that. That resignation, some might see it as an attempt to put a black eye on the president. I don't see it that way because I saw it as a clean resignation. I know why he put that letter out there was because so many people would want to bastardize it and that type of stuff. And so I'm not so much into evaluating and judging as I am. This is a bad situation, and will get cleared up very, very quickly on the battlefield as we watch the admin be successful in Iran, which I think is going to happen.
Well, you called the start of that war and the way it's been executed, and also your insights into Ukraine, Russia. That's the problem today. That's the problem.
Ukraine, Russia.
Yeah.
Because Ukraine is reveling in the fact that they took out a Baltic Sea oil terminal for the Russians. And I don't know what Western Intel Service signed off on that crap. But at a time when we have a potential oil and gas shortage and a fertilizer shortage going on, this is no time for that. That's not where you go score your military victory, because it's just about oil on the world market. And I just think that was a very dumb move strategically.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, it's, I get it. Blaine Holt, you get everything. Amazing insight, amazing commentary, and knowledge.
I will defer that statement, but I do appreciate your confidence in me.
Blaine Holt, everybody. Hey, at the _irascible on X, and give us the name of that.
Dangerous Intellectuals.
The podcast, Dangerous Intellectuals.
Yes, .com. We've got Mr. Reagan on today, a.k.a. Chris Coles, who talks about the culture war and what he's doing about it.
Oh, excellent. That guy is fantastic. And so are you. All the best, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Baseball is back, and the first pitch is on Netflix. The New York Yankees, led by 7-time All-Star Aaron Judge, head to the San Francisco Bay to take on Rafael Devers' San Francisco Giants. This season kicks off with one exclusive opening night game. Watch MLB Opening Night, the New York Yankees versus the San Francisco Giants, live on Netflix. Wednesday, March 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, enough of me. You, Joe, in Mount Sinai, New York. Hello.
Hello, Greg. The real celebration will be when Andrew Weissman kicks the bucket, because he was the henchman behind that, and there's plenty of others. And I don't revel in people's death, but if they've stepped on me and they've bear false witness against me, they will see fire and ice. And one last thing, I just want to say this. My father was a World War II veteran, and today's the 24th anniversary of his passing, and I miss him.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Joe, very much. Pamela?
About the plane incident. I think sometimes the tower is a little bit too, what's the word, polite, because they told the truck to cross. Then he realizes that something's up, and he goes, stop, stop, stop. What he should have said, reaction time, move it. Get across now.
All right, easy there, Pamela. I mean, that was like, he said stop, stop, stop. You think that was too polite? You think that was too polite?
Listen, a lifetime of driving. All right.
You're right. A lifetime of driving. You never were in a control tower before in your life, right, Pamela? All right. Don't be cocky. Don't be cocky. Don't be too judgy either. All right. All right. Relax. You don't know. All right. I love you. Al, hello.
Greg, what's happening? Hey, Greg, I want to just say my condolences go out to the pilots and the people on the plane. Real quick, I was on Hunter Mountain and I was skiing 2 weeks ago. I was coming off the top. I said to myself, there's nobody here, and I'm cooking it. When I got halfway down, a body appeared in me. I had a very bad collision. What I want to say is that, like you said before, stuff happens. We don't know why. So when I went back up the mountain after I got clearance from Ski Patrol, they said that even though I was thinking about going down, and it's not what you think, it's what you see.
Yeah.
So I'm going down, seeing that I think it's clear, but that wasn't the case. So I had to go back up the mountain after the collision and see where I went wrong. And it just, like you said, what really concerned was stuff happens, and I feel like it happened to those guys in the truck.
Well, I mean, stuff happens, but sometimes when people say that, they throw up their hands. Hey, what do you want? Stuff happens. You know what I mean? I want to know. I want to know everything, and I don't want it to happen again. Al, I'm glad you made it all right. I love that Hunter Mountain. Natalie, hello?
Hi, Greg. My reaction to everybody right away jumping on to President Trump for saying that he's glad that Mueller is dead. These very same people, and I've heard people say it right on their own mouths to my own ears, that they wish he was dead, and they're sorry that it was missed. The assassination attempt.
They were sorry the shooter missed. You're right about that. Jay, Mike, and the rest. Sorry, we'll get to you tomorrow. Call back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?